How long would you be depressed and upset, angry? What would it take for you to pull yourself up and start all over again? How resilient are you? Could you handle it? Could you learn from all your disappointments and start all over again? What would it take? Resilience, being able to withstand setbacks, broken hearts and broken dreams. The ability to readily recover from illness or depression or adversity.
It's like you don't have a choice. You can either be a pathetic monster or you can be a monster with some power. Those are your options. There's no non-monster alternative. You want to be safe? Forget that. That's not in the cards. You're not going to be safe. Well, then you have to be meta-safe. And that's way better because then you're not safe, but you know how to cope with danger.
Take the little setbacks in stride. Take the little successes in stride. Don't let small disappointments discourage you. Don't let the little successes delude you. Avoid the emotional roller coaster that will always disrupt your plan. Even if things aren't going just the way you think they should, keep your disappointment at bay and keep getting ready for opportunities. Be prepared, always be prepared. Don't let impatience allow you to give up.
I just told you, my wife and I have been married 33 years. That's resilient. You was happily married 28 years. All the rest of them years you just came in the house. Because you believed in something more than your feelings. You believed in something more than your happy. You believed in something more than the temporary inconvenience of restrictions and oppositions and confusions. You abide when things are going right. And you abide when things are going wrong. You abide when everything falls into place, and you abide when all hell breaks loose.
So I say, as you look into the future, while other people are giving up, feeling like victims, feeling powerless, becoming negative, feeling that they can't make it, be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind with the mindset of that it's possible. And it's going to be hard. Easy is not an option. But if it's hard, we will do it hard. Whatever is required to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. And it's worth it, yes. It's worth whatever we have to do. And once we know that, it is done. It is done. It is done. It is done.
Here's something, ladies and gentlemen. When you make it important, it's not a preference. It's not negotiable. It's a must. When you decide, I'm going to do it, regardless of the opposition, regardless of the difficulties, I'm going to make this happen because it's important to me. I'm saying the universe will yield to you. Life will never be the same again. Live your dream.
You can tell the true values of others by looking at what they do, not at what they say. You can also look at your own actions to decide what it is that you truly value. Remember, it's not what you say or hope or wish or intend that is a true expression of your values and beliefs. It's only what you do. Children are very aware of this, and they ignore the advice of their parents when their parents say, "Do as I say, not as I do." The fact is, we all seem to know that a person's actions are the true reflection of their innermost convictions. There's a great deal of confusion and unhappiness in the world today because many people feel that if they say something emphatically enough or write about it, it means that they truly believe it. But this is false. You only truly believe what you do. Your actions do speak far more loudly than your words. For example, if you truly believe in the values of persistence and dedication, it'll be evident in the things that you do every single day. If you truly believe in the values of honesty and integrity and self-discipline, you'll demonstrate these qualities in your every behavior. In fact, you can tell what a person values by looking at what they did in the past when the pressure was on. It's only when you're forced to make a choice that you know what it is you really value. For example, when you have to choose between family and work or between money and honesty, your true values come out. The wonderful and important thing about your values is that you can develop them in yourself by disciplining yourself to act consistent with them, even if you haven't yet made them a fixed part of your character.
One of the things, I think this is the case anyways, I think people are always looking for an excuse to have their character corrupted. Because if your character is corrupted, then you get to lie, and you get to cheat, and you get to steal, and you get to betray, and you get to act resentfully, and you get to do nothing. And that's all easy. It's easier to lie than to tell the truth. It's easier to do nothing than to do something. So there's always part of you thinking, well, I need a justification for being useless and horrible, because that'd be a lot less work.
So you've got to handle the negative. Here's what part of it is. It's called the Great War Between Good and Evil. Mr. Reynolds and I are working on a new book this year called The Great War Between Good and Evil. And there is a war on. The minute you were born, you got involved in the war between good and evil, between darkness and light, between negative and positive, between evil and good, between tyranny and democracy, between weeds and human activity. I mean, the war is on.
So then what's necessary is a system in which the good side is always winning, but never is the winner. Where the evil side is always losing, but never is the loser. That's a very practical arrangement for a successful ongoing game which will keep everybody interested. And you must recognize then that this outgroup is your necessary enemy, whom you need. He keeps you on your toes. But you mustn't obliterate him. If you do, you're in a very dangerous state of affairs.
But darkness is always trying to move in and take all the territory. But if you turn on the light, its energy starts to repel darkness. Darkness begins to move away. And the brighter the light, the further away the darkness must move. If you walk into a dark room and turn on the light, the darkness is what? Gone. But here's the point to remember, not very far. The darkness seems to be, yes, it's gone, but it's waiting for its chance. That if light loses its energy, darkness has a chance now to move back in.
Battle between good and evil on a playing field of chaos and order. It's the eternal game. And, you can play that out in the external world, but part of what the religious enterprise is about, and the Christians have really contributed to this, is the notion that sacred battle is fundamentally spiritual, which is to say, in some sense, fundamentally psychological. It's to be fought on the battleground of the soul, internally. It's a subjective issue. How do you defeat evil? You defeat the evil in your own heart. That is how you do it.
Now here's the good news about the war between good and evil. Evil is no match for good, but good must be active. Weeds are no match for human activity, but if you stand still, how far in will they come? All the way. They'll grow right up around your shoes. But if you get busy, how far back can you take them? As far as you wish.
If you think that compassion makes you weak, you are wrong. Compassion may cause a person to sacrifice his life to save other people. And we have to redefine what is compassion. It's very powerful. And we have to embody that kind of energy in our daily life. We have to re-educate people about this. You have to show what compassion can achieve. When someone is angry, he's being burned by the fire of anger. And if he knows how to practice compassion, anger will die down very quickly, and he looks much better, much more beautiful, much more attractive. And that is why we have to exemplify, is embody that practice of compassion in order to persuade other people to do the same. Compassion helps us to sleep well. Compassion protects us better than guns and bombs and money. Many of us think that we are safer if we have more money, but you can lose your money very easily. But compassion is a kind of energy that can help protect you much more effectively than money. And compassion helps you to relax. And your body has more capacity to heal itself. Compassion helps you to be pleasant, to be loving, and you can restore communication with the other person easily if you have compassion in yourself. You understand the other person. Your compassion can help you do your business better because you are in good relationship with other people, including your employees. So you can list a lot of qualities of compassion, and we should have a man, a woman, a community of men and women practicing compassion like that, in order to show people that compassion is something very powerful.
You know, everybody has a different temperament and personality, and it's something that has to be developed, over a period of time. We all must deal with that dark side of our nature, the positive side of our nature, and it isn't that it ever gets done or finished, but that we should suppress those things that would cause us trouble, not only within ourselves, but cause us trouble with someone else.
You're not aware of that conflict going on, because conscious attention doesn't need ordinarily focus upon it. And so you don't get involved, and you're not anxious about what party is winning and what party is losing. They're keeping up a kind of balance.
It's a spiritual battle, and it's taken people thousands and thousands of years to figure this out. You can find that. You can just look inside. Inadequacy, weakness, susceptibility to temptation, narcissism, pride, envy, revenge, resentment, frustration, lack of faith, all of that.
So we spend a lot of our energy, a lot of our time, a lot of our work and our thoughts on how much stuff can I get, how much can I accumulate. And the problem that comes up with this is that if you believe that you are what you have, if you really believe that, so we have a, almost like a dilemma. If I am what I have, then when I don't, I'm not. I start to get really terrified. I start to get really scared when I don't have as much stuff as I want to have, or when other people have more stuff. So we spend a lot of our energy comparing ourselves to what other people have.
Jump on the positive side of whatever you want. See if you can't help out in this warfare, in this push-shove match. That's the key. That's why the old wise man said, we must learn to love and hate. So underline that. You must learn to love and hate. And the illustration he used was, you must learn to love good and hate evil.
But the major key to your and my future, the major key to you and my being able to put our lives together, to get up and move forward, the major key to creating the next greatest version of ourselves and looking out for our families and improving our lives and our community. The major key is you. It's me. It's all of us. We have to decide that we're going to take responsibility.
So, what are the opportunities today? Probably one of the best forms of growth that we can work with now is cooperation and service to each other. The individuals finds perhaps the greatest basic joy that there is in the human composition when he brings joy or releases joy through other persons. One of the simplest things we can do is to plan a program of helpfulness, a program of not thinking about ourselves, but earning the respect, admiration, confidence, and affection of other people. It is something to look back quietly upon a good deed that has brought security to another. And this type of backward looking is probably the most cheerful as possible. So service to others. If you do not know what to do, help someone in desperate trouble. Forget being deprived of a few hours of television or being requested to turn away from some ordinary leisure that you have planned, but try to see what you can do to help other people. Now, if you have special trained abilities in these matters, there are many opportunities that open themselves to the person who really wants to help. If you have music as a background and have the abilities, find some young people who want music and cannot afford it. And instead of sitting around gossiping or answering phone calls, take these young people and try to educate them or help them in their musical lessons. If you are in business, take young people who need business training. They will not get proper training in school, but they can get it from someone who has been through it and knows what is right and knows what should occur and what should not occur. Everyone can do something, and out of the best they have done themselves, share with another. Then there are things you can do for yourselves. If you are not in a position or do not feel equipped to work with other people, then work with yourselves. Develop those faculties and powers which are not functioning properly today. Look over your own life and see what your mind is doing. Is your mind growing? Or is it just heaping up one prejudice on top of another? Watch your thoughts and see whether or not you're instinctively criticizing things you do not understand, or have developed powerful prejudices which interfere with justice and judgment. Look over your own nature and then go to work on the problem that you find needs attention. It is not good, however, to try to simply convert yourself. To sit down and say, I shouldn't hold that attitude, is usually not very meaningful. What you really should do if you dislike a certain condition is get into that condition yourself. Move in on it and find out why people think the way they do. Instead of criticizing from some set point within yourself, find out why other people are not more successful in their judgments. I know a number of persons who have simply gone into various walks of life which are not their own in order to find out how other people really live. And it is almost certainly an eye-opener. If you do not wish to go through all this, it then is the best attitude you can have is to believe firmly that every individual is doing the best he can for what he is. And it is always important to try to estimate what he is and help him to become better.
Someone else's comment is unlikely to bring you to a halt unless you value that comment. So imagine you're going to pursue a goal, but you're full of doubts. And so 40% of you is doubts and 60% of you is pursuing the goal. And then 5 or 6 people object, and they object using the doubts. That's going to be really hard on you.
people acting like everyone else, without knowing why, without knowing where they're going. And the trouble is that we're acting like the wrong percentage group, the 95% who don't succeed. Now, why do these people conform? Well, they don't know, really. These people believe that their lives are shaped by circumstances, by things that happen to them, by exterior forces. They're outer-directed people.
If you let yourself be defined by what other people perceive of as you, then you will forever be limited by what they give you permission to do. And I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I said, when I'm an adult, I will never be told what to do again. I will never be held back by somebody else. I will define myself. I will figure out what I need to do, and I will do it. And at the end of the day, that is it. My goals drive my behavior. I am not held back by what other people think about me, no matter how intoxicating it is to be loved. You have to decide what you want more. Do you want to be you, or do you want to be someone else's reflection of you?
And we've all had experiences where we were working on something and we knew it was possible. And we did those things that were necessary to bring it into reality. We took the responsibility to make it happen. Other people couldn't see it. A lot of people didn't believe it. You were attacked, you were criticized. People were opposing it, but you kept on doing it. It was hard, it was rough, it was difficult, but to you, it was worth it. And eventually you got to a level you know, then nothing stop me now. I'm on the move. I'm on the move.
But if people can see you, if you have the image of someone who's in charge, in control of your life, your future, your destiny, in control of the situation, if they see that, that kind of image is powerful. It helps to win the day. It attracts other people. People want to be around people that are in control, that are powerful, but they know how to use their power. Influential, but they know how to use their influence. That kind of image is important.
An excellent spirit does not work because people are watching. It doesn't work because it will be known. Excellence comes from a spirit, an attitude on the inside. An excellent spirit is a spirit of what? Integrity. Excellence produces trust. Why? Because people watch what you say and to see if it equals what you do before they trust you.
If a man is working toward a predetermined goal and knows where he's going, that man is a success. If he's not doing that, he's a failure. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
Grow your mindset. Which mindset do you have? Answer these questions about intelligence. Read each statement and decide whether you mostly agree with it or disagree with it. 1. Your intelligence is something very basic about you that you can't change very much. 2. You can learn new things, but you can't really change how intelligent you are. 3. No matter how much intelligence you have, you can always change it quite a bit. 4. You can always substantially change how intelligent you are. Questions 1 and 2 are the fixed mindset questions. Questions 3 and 4 reflect the growth mindset. Which mindset did you agree with more? You can be a mixture, but most people lean toward one or the other. You also have beliefs about other abilities. You could substitute artistic talent, sports ability, or business skill for intelligence. Try it. It's not only your abilities, it's your personal qualities too. Look at these statements about personality and character and decide whether you mostly agree or mostly disagree with each one. 1. You are a certain kind of person, and there is not much that can be done to really change that. 2. No matter what kind of person you are, you can always change substantially. 3. You can do things differently, but the important parts of who you are can't really be changed. 4. You can always change basic things about the kind of person you are. Here, questions 1 and 3 are the fixed mindset questions, and questions 2 and 4 reflect the growth mindset. Which did you agree with more? Did it differ from your intelligence mindset? It can. Your intelligence mindset comes into play when situations involve mental ability. Your personality mindset comes into play in situations that involve your personal qualities. For example, how dependable, cooperative, caring, or socially skilled you are. The fixed mindset makes you concerned with how you'll be judged. The growth mindset makes you concerned with improving. Here are some more ways to think about mindsets. Think about someone you know who is steeped in the fixed mindset. Think about how they're always trying to prove themselves and how they're super sensitive about being wrong or making mistakes. Did you ever wonder why they were this way? Are you this way? Now you can begin to understand why. Think about someone you know who is skilled in the growth mindset. Someone who understands that important qualities can be cultivated. Think about the ways they confront obstacles. Think about the things they do to stretch themselves. What are some ways you might like to change or stretch yourself?
So I'll hear people say, if you believe it, then you can achieve it. And the problem with that is they're leaving out the most important part of the equation. And that part is what? Actually doing something. That's what you have to do to achieve anything. Yeah, you gotta believe it, but you better get the work done.
Ideas are worthless unless we act on them. I want you to write on a card what it is you want more than anything else. Make sure it's a single goal and clearly defined. You needn't show it to anyone, but carry it with you so that you can look at it several times a day. Stop thinking about what it is you feel. Don't concern yourself too much with how you're going to achieve your goal. Leave that completely to a power greater than yourself. All you have to do is know where you're going. The answers will come to you of their own accord.
We intend to when the idea strikes. We intend to when the emotion is hot. But now if you don't translate that into action fairly soon, now the idea starts to be. And a month from now it's cold. A year from now, you can't even know. So act. Set up a discipline. The idea is strong. You're powerful. That's the time to set up.
As Michelangelo said, if people knew how hard I worked to achieve my mastery, it wouldn't seem so wonderful after all. And that's the thing about getting great. That's the thing about being an artist of such caliber that you're remembered for hundreds of years after your death. It is back-breaking work. It is a blinding amount of effort. And that's the secret. At the end of the day, if you know what you want, it's only a question of whether you're willing to pay the price to get there. So ask yourself, are you willing to pay the price?
Listen to me, pound for pound, any agent in the room, pound for pound, motivational speaker, pound for pound, entrepreneur, pound for pound, athlete, pound for pound, weightlifter, pound for pound, whatever you do, I guarantee you when you do it, nobody can do it like you do it. The problem is you don't hardly do it. You love sleep too much. You love that alcohol too much. You love that substance too much. You love that vice too much. There's something that you love more than yourself, than your dream, than your goals.
You've got to get into the flow that when you want something out of life, you've got to be willing to go into action. Don't wait around for things to be just right. Don't wait for things to be perfect. Don't wait for the ideal situation. It will never be ideal. Do what you can, where you are with what you have. Come on now. This is the day.
Do what you're supposed to do. You ain't no boy no more. You don't need their approval. You're talented enough. God made you. You got everything you need.
I have a very strong belief that everything that comes into your life is supposed to, and every condition of your life is part of the perfection of it, and that there's a blessing in all of it, and that there are no accidents, that it's a perfect, absolutely, totally perfect universe. Everybody that you meet for a reason. Everybody you're sitting next to, you're there for a reason. You can either take advantage of it or not. You have choices to make throughout it all. At the same moment, there's an opportunity in it, and I never look back with anything but gratitude for all that was handed to me, because I learned firsthand as a very young boy how to be self-reliant, how to take responsibility for myself, how not to blame other people for it, and to find something positive in it, and always did. So that little old lady who's driving in front of you at 20 miles an hour with the 1976 Cadillac, cream-colored, you all see her, she's everywhere. She's got blue hair and she can hardly see over the steering wheel. And she signed an oath that she will drive aimlessly around, you know, testing your ability to deal effectively with her. You know, she's like a test, she's like a gift from God to test. And it's like once you stop being mad at her for being who she is and what she's about, when you stop the anger and the bitterness at who she is and understand that she's exactly where she's supposed to be. And she's there to teach you a very important lesson. Slow down. You have to. Relax. Don't give her control over the divine part of you. The intelligence in back of that is suffusing your form, invisible as it is. It's still there, and it's yours. It's really what constitutes your entire humanity. Don't give it away. Think of yourself as connected to and a part of it all, rather than someone who is being victimized or slowed down or abused by, or here it happens again. It's all part of the perfection of it all. That's a very nice, enlightening place to get to. It really slows you down. And it doesn't take away your ability to make choices. It takes away your wanting the world to be as you think it should be instead of as it is. That's what defines neurotic. That's what neurotic really means. To be wanting the world to be as you are rather than as it is. And for you to process it exactly the way it is.
I say, stop beating up on yourself. You do it. I know you do it. I've done it. It's a natural inclination for us to put ourselves down. And when I start changing that kind of mindset of beating myself up because of my mistakes and start looking at the possibility of my doing better, of my making the adjustment that would enable me to do what I want to do successfully, things begin to change.
And so if your life isn't everything it could be, you could ask yourself, well, what would happen if you just stopped wasting the opportunities that are in front of you? You'd be, who knows how much more efficient? 10 times more efficient, 20 times more efficient. That's the Pareto distribution. You have no idea how efficient people get. It's off the charts.
There will come times when you will feel like giving up. It's easier for a human being to think negatively than positively. That's why only 5% is successful. For 30 days, you must take control of your mind. It will think only about what you permit it to think. Each day for this 30-day test, do more than you have to do. In addition to maintaining a cheerful, positive outlook, give of yourself more than you've ever done before. Do this knowing that your returns in life must be in direct proportion to what you give. The moment you decide on a goal to work toward, you're immediately a successful person. You're then in that rare and successful category of people who know where they're going. Out of every 100 people, you belong to the top 5.
So I'm saying to you, can nobody take your good? See, that which is meant for you has your name on it. No one can take your good from you. That's you. That work you've been given, that idea that you've been given, if you don't come out here with that idea, no one's going to bring your idea out here. And I'm saying, in your hands, you have ideas. You have been given something to bring to the universe that was not here before you showed up. See, nobody, ladies and gentlemen, is going to give Les Brown's speech. This is my speech.
It's not okay to make excuses. It's not going to slow people down. It's not okay to ask the world to stop so that you can step out front. You've got to develop your skill set. You've got to take what you have now, and if that's crawling, then fucking crawl, but you drag yourself ever forward to a vision of yourself because you, my friend, know exactly where you're going. You're willing to pay whatever price it takes to get there, and you will keep pushing forward, and you will get better every day. And no matter how many times people chop at you, knock you down, you will get back on. You will crawl till you can walk, you will walk till you run, and then you will run until you fly. And that, my friends, is the only path forward. So if you want a fucking future that makes you happy, if you want a world that you're excited about, get your ass out there and earn it.
It's time for you to look within yourself and decide that I'm in charge of my destiny. I'm in charge here.
We've all seen how the person who assumes success tends to already have success. People who assume failure tend to have failure. When either failure or success is pictured, there is a very strong tendency for that picture to actualize as fact and become reality. To assure something worthwhile happening, therefore, first pray about it and test it according to God's will. Then print a picture of it on your mind as happening, holding that image firmly in consciousness. Continue to check that picture to God's will, that is to say, put the matter in God's hands and follow God's guidance. Work hard and intelligently, thus doing your part to achieve success in the matter. Practice believing and continue to hold the picture firmly in your thoughts. Do this and you will be astonished.
Here are some practical suggestions for changing your mental attitude from negative to positive. Such a change will release the kinds of thoughts that can help you make creative changes in your circumstances. 1. For the next 24 hours, deliberately speak hopefully about everything. Your job, your health, your future. Go out of your way to put optimism in everything you say. 2. After speaking hopefully for 24 hours, continue the practice for 1 week. Then you can permit yourself to be realistic for a day or two. You'll discover that what you meant by realistic a week ago was actually pessimistic, and what you now mean by realistic is something entirely different. It is the dawning of the positive outlook. When most people say they're being realistic, they delude themselves. They are simply being negative. 3. Feed your mind even as you feed your body. A healthy mind requires nourishing, wholesome thoughts. Start at the beginning of the New Testament and underline every sentence about faith. Continue doing this until you've marked every passage in the 4 books: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. 4. Commit all of those passages to memory. Learn one each day until you can recite the entire list from memory. This will take time, but remember, you've spent much more time being a negative thinker. Unlearning a negative pattern requires time and effort. 5. Make a list of your friends who are positive thinkers and deliberately cultivate their company. Don't abandon your negative friends, but get closer to those with a positive point of view until you've absorbed their spirit. 6. Try to avoid arguments, but whenever a negative attitude is expressed, counter with a positive and optimistic opinion. 7. Pray a great deal and always let your prayers take the form of thanksgiving. Assume that God is giving you great and wonderful things, for if you think He is, He surely is. God will not give you any greater blessing than you can believe in. Remember, according to your faith, be it unto you.
Things that we pay money for, we value. The paradox is that exactly the reverse is true. Everything that's really worthwhile in life came to us free. Our mind, our soul, our body, our hopes, our dreams, our ambitions, our intelligence, our love of family, children, and friends. All these priceless possessions are free, but the things that cost us money are actually very cheap and can be replaced at any time.
If it is your attachment, say, to material things or status or whatever, that's interfering with your psychological progression. Now, the idea is that you should let go of whatever it is that's interfering with your psychological progression, because no matter how valuable what it is that's interfering is, it's not as valuable as what you're giving up.
The idea of the material world, it is in its own way a symbol. That is to say, if you buy the word material, you mean some sort of basic stuff out of which the world is made. The confusion of money in any form whatsoever with wealth is one of the major problems from which civilization is suffering. When we first began to use symbols to represent the events of the physical world, we found this such an ingenious device that we became completely fascinated. And in ever so many different dimensions of life, we are living in a state of total confusion between symbol and reality. But our culture, our civilization, is entirely hung up on the notion that money has an independent reality of its own.
Let go of what's going to come to you, and what is going to come to you will keep showing up in larger and larger and larger amounts. And there's great wisdom in that fable. Let it chase you. Let it follow you, instead of being something that you're consumed with having to get. Because the more you're attached to the outcome, the more you're trying to get something that isn't what you need.
But here's what's powerful. If you have a list of high purpose in your life, it pulls you toward the future. And the clearer it is, the stronger it pulls. The more dynamic it is, the more it affects your life, your spirit, your heart, your soul. It also creates imagination. It gets your mind working on how to achieve that purpose. And if your mind will work, if your heart works, if your spirit works, and if you have good input, like good ideas, I'm telling you, there isn't anything you can't accomplish.
So if you've taken all of your attention off of everything material, there's only one place you're going to wind up, and that is the immaterial realm called the quantum field, an invisible field of energy that unifies and connects everything material. So now when you're creating from the field and you combine a clear intention with an elevated emotion, and you're connected and you feel connected, the suggestion of an alternative way to create is that when there's a vibrational match between your energy and some future reality, you actually no longer have to go anywhere to get it. You're actually the vortex, and you will collapse space and time and draw the experience to you. Now that, to me, is a lot more fun, because the experience is the unknown. You can't predict when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen, because if you can predict it, it's known. So then you have to lay down the very thing you use your whole life to get what you want for something greater to occur. Now that goes against generations untold of conditioning and a lifetime of habituation, believing that we're trapped in this material world. And yet I can say to you without a doubt that once you understand that formula, and once you know how to create that kind of brain and heart coherence, the side effect of that is a change in biology, neurologically, chemically, hormonally, genetically. We've measured it. We've seen gene regulation changes in 4 days. More brain coherence, more heart coherence. Your brain's working better. You're trusting your heart. It's open. There's different chemicals that are released. Oxytocin suppresses survival centers, resets the baseline of a person's trauma or shock. Your immune system goes up. You lengthen your telomeres. We've measured that too. So you're changing the future of your body. You're extending your life. That's evidence, right? So we have the evidence to know that it could happen because we've measured it. But the real evidence is watching the testimonial of someone who says, I had stage 4 cancer. I was told as a 41-year-old woman that I wouldn't live for more than 2 months. And I have no evidence of cancer in my body at all. Or someone that's a physician who has Parkinson's disease that's tried everything from the medical route and has one transcendental moment, and their tremors and their pain are gone. And now they're chewing food, they're swallowing, they're blowing their nose, they're standing up on their own. That's energy affecting matter. So we have hundreds and hundreds of testimonials of people that not only healed their body, but created pretty profoundly magical things in their life. So you have evidence in the scientific world, you have evidence in the practical world, and evidence is the loudest voice right now.
Nothing really comes to you from outside of you. Everything comes to you from within your own consciousness. Everything comes to you from within your own inner feeling about yourself. Not according to what others think and feel about you, but your experiences come to you. Your cursing or your blessing, your good or your evil, comes to you out of your own inner consciousness.
Think about us as the product of 3.5 billion years of evolution. I mean, we have struggled over all those billions of years to be alive and to match ourselves with reality. And so, because one of the things I've often wondered is, life is definitely difficult. There's no doubt about that. And it's unfair, and there's inequality and all of those things. And people are subject to all sorts of terrible things. But I also wonder, if you weren't actively striving to make things worse, just how much better could they be?
I have never seen anybody who did extraordinary feats that didn't have extraordinary issues. It is the passion that gives you the power you need, but it is the pain from which you have the conviction about it. If you had not been through some pains, you would not have the burning to do what you do.
Everything that happens, use it for your upliftment, learning, and growth. In the midst of it, ask, what can I learn from this? What can I get from this? How did I end up here? There's something for you in everything that happens to you for you to learn from that experience. Look at it, examine it, analyze it, dissect it, take it apart until it reveals itself to you. And then get what you need from that and move on. But everything that happens to you.
It's the decision to face possible failure. It's the decision to get up once you failed. And it's the decision of what to learn when you fail. Do you learn that you're not good enough? Do you learn that you never should have tried? Or do you learn a lesson from the failure and get up and brush yourself off and remember that at the end of the day, you're going to go as far as you're willing to fight for, and that's it. And if you're willing to fight to go all the way, then you will go that far. You will set a new bar. You will define for people what is possible.
One of the things that you want to avoid is one of the erroneous zones I call procrastination, which is simply hoping and wishing and filling yourself with maybes and being bored and all of these kinds of things. If you sit around and hope and wish and say maybe over and over and over again in your life, then you are simply going to be a person who is using up the present moment to fill it with wishes rather than with action. Procrastination is nothing more than a typical way to keep yourself from taking action in your life. And I have found, we just moved into a new home not too long ago, and we had about 200 boxes that had to be broken up in the garage. And I looked at those boxes, and I knew that nobody else was going to break them up. But Daddy, this is Daddy's job. And every day I'd go in and I'd look at all of those boxes, and I'd say, no, I really don't want to deal with that today, and I'd let that go. And then came the time when I, just a few days ago, when I went out there and I said, I'm just going to break up 5. I'll just do 5. And then if I do 5 every day for the next 3 weeks, I'll have them all broken up, and then I'll call them and they'll come and pick them up. Well, that's the key to eliminating procrastination, because as soon as I did 5, I said, well, I can do 5 more. And I came in about an hour and a half later, and I had the entire job done. I found that to be true with virtually everything in my life. If I can put it off and put it off and put it off, but just do one sentence and you got your letter written. You know, just sit down, and instead of telling yourself, I've got to write this long, long letter to my mother that I haven't written in a long time, you don't do that. You say, I think I'll just write one paragraph to her today. And then all of a sudden, the whole thing is done. Just one little action, one little step, and you have it. You have the whole thing corrected. In Hamlet, there's a line that says, refrain tonight, and that shall lend a kind of easiness to the next abstinence, and the next more easy. For use almost can change the stamp of nature. That's so beautiful. For use almost can change the stamp of nature. You can change your very nature by just refraining, by just doing something in the moment. So whatever it is right now, as soon as this tape is over, and it'll be over in just a few minutes, as soon as it's over, whatever it is that you've been procrastinating about or thinking about doing but haven't gotten around to do it, just do an opening on it. Just start it. And you'll find that that simple little act is what gets you going. And it's always, and where does that come from? It doesn't come from acting. It comes from thinking. Thinking makes it so. So rid your life of hoping and wishing and saying maybe and all of those kinds of things. And instead, move beyond that and say, anything I can visualize in my mind, if I can get it there and hold it there, I can act upon it. So I will act upon it in the now, in the working unit of your life, now, today, this moment.
Over caution. Some people never will have much. They're too cautious. Now, you can also be too reckless, but you can also be too cautious. This is called the timid approach to life. I used to say, what if this happens? It's called the language of the poor. What if this happens? And on top of that, if this was to happen, look at the fix I'd be in. I better not try.
To not make a decision also has a cost. And sometimes the cost of not making a decision is far worse than the cost of making a decision, even if the decision is risky. And so one of the things you can derive from that, and this is very useful, I think, is that you're screwed no matter what you do. So then you think, okay, well, I'm trying to make this decision. I'm going to go try to do something difficult. Isn't that terrifying? And you think, yeah, but wait a minute. What's really terrifying is not doing it.
Fear, ladies and gentlemen, can hold you back from doing something that you know within yourself that you're capable of doing, but it will paralyze you. And it seems like you're in a hypnotic spell. And I ask you a question, what is the benefit? What's the benefit of allowing fear to hold you back? What's the benefit of giving up on yourself, of not stepping out on life and taking life on? What is the benefit for you? What's the plus in that? You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to hurt some folks' feelings. You're going to create some enemies whenever you decide that you want to begin to take life on. You've got to ask yourself, how long am I going to allow this to hold me back? I like what Zig Ziglar says. He said, fear is false evidence appearing real. That is an illusion that we create in our mind. It is a state of mind that can be changed.
The first thing you've got to realize is that most of the fear that you have isn't a reality. It's just built up in your head. So what you need to do to overcome your fear is to go and face it, go and look at it. Go on the attack, move towards it. That's what you need to do if you're afraid of something. Don't hide from it. The more you hide from it, the scarier it gets. Don't allow that to happen. Instead, confront it, face it, and get out.
You know, if you take people, and I told you this, and you expose them voluntarily to things that they are avoiding and are afraid of, and they know they need to overcome in order to meet their goals, their self-defined goals. If you can teach people to stand up in the face of the things they're afraid of, they get stronger. And you don't know what the upper limits to that are, because you might ask yourself, like, if for 10 years, if you didn't avoid doing what you knew you needed to do, by your own definitions, right, within the value structure that you've created, to the degree that you've done that, what would you be like?
There is nothing that can resist the force of perseverance. The way ahead of all of us is not clear sailing, but all hard passages can be bridged if you just think they can and concentrate on how to do it. But if you think the obstacles are unsurmountable, you will not of course try, and even if you do, it will be in only a half-hearted way, a way that accomplishes nothing. Many men will not begin an undertaking unless they feel sure they will succeed in it. What a mistake! This would be right if we were sure of what we could and could not do. But who knows? There may be an obstruction there now that might not be there next week. There may not be an obstruction there now that will be there next week. The trouble with most persons is that just as soon as they see their way blocked, they lose courage. They forget that usually there is a way around the difficulty. It's up to you to find it. If you tackle something with little effort, when the conditions call for a big effort, you will of course not win. Tackle everything with the feeling that you will utilize all the power within you to make it a success. This is the kind of concentrated effort that succeeds. Most people are beaten before they start. They think they are going to encounter obstacles, and they look for them instead of for means to overcome them. The result is that they increase their obstacles instead of diminishing them. Have you ever undertaken something that you thought would be hard, but afterwards found it to be easy? That is the way a great many times. The things that look difficult in advance turn out to be easy of conquest when once encountered. So start out on your journey with the idea that the road is going to be clear for you, and that if it is not, you will clear the way. All men that have amounted to anything have cleared their way, and they did not have the assistance that you will have today. The one great keynote of success is to do whatever you have decided on. Don't be turned from your path, but resolve that you are going to accomplish what you set out to do. Don't be frightened at a few rebuffs, for they cannot stop the man that is determined, the man that knows in his heart that success is only bought by tremendous resolution, by concentrated and wholehearted effort. He who has a firm will, says Goethe, molds the world to himself. People do not lack strength, says Victor Hugo. They lack will. It is not so much skill that wins victories, as it is activity and great determination. There is no such thing as failure for the man that does his best. No matter what you may be working at the present time, don't let this make you lose courage. The tides are continually changing, and tomorrow or some other day, they will turn to your advantage if you are a willing and are an ambitious worker. There is nothing that develops you and increases your courage like work. If it were not for work, how monotonous life would at last become? So I say to the man that wants to advance, don't look upon your present position as your permanent one. Keep your eyes open and add those qualities to your makeup that will assist you when your opportunity comes. Be ever alert and on the watch for opportunities. Remember, we attract what we set our minds on. If we look for opportunities, we find them. If you are the man you should be, someone is looking for you to fill a responsible position. So when he finds you, don't let your attention wander. Give it all to him. Show that you can concentrate your powers, that you have the makeup of a real man. Show no signs of fear, uncertainty, or doubt. The man that is sure of himself is bound to get to the front. No circumstances can prevent him.
Pessimism, the deadly disease of always looking on the bad side, the problem side, the difficult side, checking all the reasons why it can't be done. The poor pessimist leads an ugly life. To the pessimist, the glass is always half empty. To the optimist, the glass is half full. Why would the same measure affect people two different ways? Answer: it all depends on how you look at it. Our lives are mostly affected by the way we think things are.
not the way they are. The way we think they are affects us most. He doesn't try to figure out what's right. He tries to figure out what's wrong. He doesn't look for virtue. He looks for faults. And when he finds them, he's delighted. How ugly.
Young people always have a reason to be upset and cynical about the current state of affairs, and it's that way forever. And it's easier just to accept that, because there's also a positive element, and the positive element is, well, you've been granted something rather than nothing, and maybe you haven't been granted pure hell, because especially in a culture like ours where many things actually function quite well, so there's room for gratitude there. Even if it's a broken machine, it's not one that's completely devastated, and it's not absolutely hell-bent at every second on your misery and destruction. And it easily could be, because many societies are like that. And so the fact that we happen to live in one that isn't corrupt beyond imagining is something to be eternally grateful for.
And the affirmation for this principle is, I am deeply thankful for all that I've received, and I enjoy giving to others in the spirit of love and service. This is a very important part, not only of being able to show up in your life what it is that is the fulfillment of your heart's desire, but it is also a beautiful way to begin living your life every day. There's an old saying that says, if you're not generous when it's hard, you will not be generous when it's easy.
The healthiest of all human emotions is gratitude. I said, you go down that list. I like my job. I love my job, rather. That is a way of gratitude. You'll sleep better the first night. Tomorrow morning, when you get up, get back in front of the mirror just before you go to work. Get back in front of the mirror and repeat the process again with excitement and enthusiasm. I love my job because, and take the list with you. Because the reality is, you see, you will have started to change from a fault finder to a good finder.
Every achievement in the world was first initiated as a creative idea. First the idea, then faith in it, then the means of implementing the idea. That is the way success proceeds. Here is the idea. What is your present trouble? Your trouble is that you lack everything, don't you? You lack money, you lack subscribers, you lack equipment, you lack courage. And why do you suppose you lack everything? Why, simply because you're only thinking about what you lack. You are constantly thinking lack thoughts, and you have thereby created a condition of lack. If you constantly think about what you don't have, you keep creating the conditions that keep you in this state. By emphasizing only what you lack, you've frustrated the creative forces that can get this project really rolling. From the standpoint of doing a lot, you've been working very hard. But you fail to do the one all-important thing that will lend power to all your other efforts. You have not employed positive thinking. To correct the situation, to reverse the mental process, and begin to think, instead of lack, to think prosperity, achievement, and success. Don't hold on to the mental pictures of difficulties and failures. Lift your mind above them and visualize instead powers and achievements. When you elevate your thoughts into the realm of attainment, you look down on your problems rather than up at them, and thus you get a more encouraging viewpoint. Always come up over your problems mentally. Never approach a problem from below